Greetings, everyone. We love you all. Now, observing all that's currently occurring in society and the narrative being perpetuated by the media in response to mass unaliving between two opposing nations, which has resulted to global unrest, we have this to say in regards to what we or one person can do about it. Well, you just did it. In other words, you're already doing it without knowing it. Because underlaying all the echoes of chaos and war is a test or evaluation of our collective spirit since the lockdowns. Let us explain. Kindly close your eyes for a minute and zoom out for a little bit. Now, if you look at reality as a spectrum of frequency or a landscape of emotional signatures without the names or faces of each biological object, you will see an orbital angular motif of energies morphing in relation to our collective response to conflict. As a means to witness the contrast between those who are anti-peace or pro-peace, it will require being presented with a scenario that could lead to war, contemplating the choices we make as a collective. Now here's the question. With the ammunition to do anything, will you do the unspeakable because you're hurt? And when we say unspeakable, we mean mass unaliving of women, children, and babies. Indeed, hurt people hurt people. But what kind of pain justifies a barbaric response? Is there a proportionate violent response for those inciting war? If so, what's the proportionate response for those destroying the opportunity for new souls to experience life, in comparison to those inciting war? Like Scorch said in Wake Up, I wonder why they use violence to end violence. It's still violence. It's been over 5 years since that record was released, yet he's still wondering, and a lot of people still haven't woken up. So let us try to incite peace in the same capacity as those inciting war. Now here's a question. Will you rather be right about the events that happened in the past, or be at peace with yourself in the present moment? I believe we can get to a space where our soul is at ease and our mind at peace and miss any disagreement we have. I believe we can learn to go through the currents of reality, unburdened by the burdens of life without the fear of death or a declining health. I know humans can be programmed to become peaceful, but they have to choose peace in order for that to be achieved. It takes a peaceful countenance to become omnipotent. This is the state of being that can be achieved for the collective. You are either raised in a peaceful environment or you learn to develop one using your mind and adversity as a catalyst to catapult you to a kind of calm inside, one only a peaceful orientation brings. It takes solitude, practice, and patience to wield the mastery in your psyche. So once you become accustomed to it, you adapt and evolve in such a way you can't do without it. Because the absence of it means to forget all about who you are and the potential for being omnipotent. And this is why your society is always exposed to economic entropy. Because humans have forgotten who they are, their cosmic reflection, and what they represent as intelligent life forms, which can all be attributed to their attachment to dogmatic beliefs. You are taught about two powers when there's actually only one, the whole. You're taught about good and bad, right and wrong, when in reality, there's only contrast. The goal of life isn't to be good or bad, but to be whole, which requires an integration of the light and darkness within your psyche. The moment you know what isn't good for you, you get the opportunity to learn what's good for you. Without contrast, will there be any inspiration to become better? We all have a dark side or a shadow self. And shadow is the contrasting reflection of light. It is not the opposite of light. Just how ice is not the opposite of water. But if you were taught or programmed to believe that anything ice or cold is bad and warm water is good, then will people living in cold regions be considered good people? You have a doctrine that is based on laws, right and wrong, reward and punishment, and not about science or how the world works. Now, isn't that interesting? How the testaments have nothing about science, just do's and don'ts according to prophets in the past. So if there was an architect of reality with their primary concern or intention be for the intelligent life forms to adhere to its moral principles or laws without teaching them the laws of physics or how the world works. For example, how many scientific formulas are in your doctrine, perhaps to teach desalinization so the intelligent species surrounded by 97% of seawater can know how to get clean drinking water to survive in case the spring water dries up? Zero. Now, isn't that interesting? A doctrine based entirely on dogmatic principles and laws without any being scientific. Doesn't that set a stage for draconian laws to thrive? Or tyranny? That is to say, eternal condemnation for those who disagree with the doctrine and eternal salvation for those who agree. Yet both parties don't know how to remove the salt from salt water to get clean drinking water on a planet that's surrounded with salt water. Isn't that interesting? So when the highest doctrine in a civilization is based entirely on laws, punishment, and reward without any science at all, it makes one wonder what kind of doctrine neglects scientific indoctrination, or what kind of word subtracts science from spirituality. Because what we see is a civilization that have forgotten about their innate potential in a battle for who's right or wrong, when their innate purpose is to be whole, to be one with all things, to be omnifarous in the sense that we are omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient in correspondence to our cosmic heritage. We are all one under the sun, regardless of what prehistoric orientation each person subscribes to. If your theological contender knows how to desalinize seawater, will you refuse to drink the clean water when there's drought simply because they don't subscribe to your belief system or school of thought? As you all know, wars on earth seem to stem from some kind of theological obsession where those who don't subscribe to a particular belief system are ostracized, assaulted, or unalived because they refuse to be controlled by a theological belief system that is contrary to their own, when in actuality, all theology or religion stems from one root, which is Abrahamic. So why criticize, complain, or condemn any logic that transcends what primitive people promoted in the past as a belief system, when you can integrate it with all you are learning in the present moment and evolve as a result? Instead of attaching to dogma, give yourself the opportunity to become omnifarous, because you are designed that way. You are designed to be so much more than what is being endorsed by those who have forgotten who they are. The only way, beloved, to assimilate the whole is to recognize contradictory perspective as well as yours. Should we say that again? The only way to assimilate the whole is to recognize contradictory perspective as well as your own. If you don't know, the goal is not to be right or wrong. It is to be whole, to be omnifarous in a sense, which is what you're innately designed to be, which is your innate potential by design. We love you all, and we will continue to share more information like this to expand your capacity to recollect your magnificence, because we can see the potential for you to remember your cosmic heritage in reflection of your divine roots as omnifarous intelligent beings by design.